something a little bit different today and sit down and get cozy with you and talk about finding time to do your art. Over the years, so many people have said to me, Cindy, I really love doing painting, drawing, whatever type of art you can actually think of, but I never seem to be able to find the time. There's always so much more to do. I always get caught up with everything else in life, and I never seem to sit and spend time with myself and my art. Now, this is a problem even for myself. I'm a full-time artist, but that doesn't mean I'm always sitting down doing the things I want to do. A lot of the times I'm doing things that I need to get done. They become art jobs, jobs for my channel, jobs for my courses, filming, editing, the list goes on. And there's those times where I just want to sit down with my sketchbooks or sit down and do some collage or just explore some different types of paints. And telling myself, look, everything else can wait, I'm going to do that. Sometimes gets really hard. So I hear you. And I guess I want to sit down and talk to you about some of the things that I've done over the years to really, I guess, encourage myself to create more. I've not always been a full-time artist. I've worked full-time jobs. I've had 3 children, so the house was busy on the go all the time with the kids for years. Working full-time, I'd work a full day as a preschool teacher, so again with a whole group of children, come home, and the last thing that I wanted to do was sit down and do some artwork. It feels too hard sometimes. It feels almost like it's another job within itself. And then I'd say to myself, okay, on a Sunday afternoon, I will sit down and do some painting. Sunday afternoon arrives, and of course, something else always pops up to do, and art takes second place. So sure, if you can discipline yourself to say every Saturday afternoon or every Sunday afternoon from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I am going to sit down and do some sketching or do some watercoloring, that's wonderful. But if you're the person that's still trying to find time to, carve out a bit of time for yourself, for your art, then this little video that I've put together might help you, I guess, just to spur you on a little bit to maybe find that little bit of aha, that's what I need to do, and now I'm doing my artwork. And it feels good to sit down and do your artwork. So the number one tip that I can give you after you've tried to set some time aside to do your art and it's not working, you've set aside a Saturday afternoon, there's always something else going on, and you're finding making excuses to why you can't do it. I'm going to give you one tip that I have done over the years that actually helps me to get into that creative mindset, and that is setting up an area within your house, in any room, that you can call your own, that you can sit down and arrive in to create art. Now, I'm lucky enough at the moment, I've got a whole room for myself to do my art. All my children have left home, and I have rooms within the house that I'm renting that is perfect for me to create art in. This room is tiled too, which is another beautiful plus because it's not carpeted. I have to really be mindful, of course, because I'm renting, that I've got to be careful of paint splashes, keeping walls clean. I will quite often take a drop sheet outside and do any really messy ink painting, splashing around with outside, so I know that I'm not going to accidentally make a mark on the walls. I'm trying to be a really great tenant here, so I don't want to leave messes that I know are hard to get out of walls. So I have to still adapt myself to the house that I'm living in at the moment. We move around quite a lot, so a lot of the times my houses that I'm living in are rentals. Sometimes I don't have a bedroom spare that I can set up as my art studio. I've told myself over the years that I won't let where I am living stop me from creating. I have an ideal of my perfect studio. It would be a beautiful loft apartment with 10-foot high ceilings. I would have beautiful old wooden floorboards and just blank walls of blank spaces that I could hang my own artwork on. I would be owning the building, so splashes don't matter, mess doesn't matter. I'd have a beautiful outlook overlooking a city. That's my perfect studio. I'm yet to find it, but I have spent years and years creating in the spaces that I arrive at anyway. So the first thing I do when I move to a new house is find a corner that's mine. I'll buy an old desk from a secondhand shop. It doesn't have to be big. It can be just a small desk, and I'll put it in a bedroom, an area inside the kitchen, anywhere that I can call my own. And of course, if I'm lucky enough and have a bit of extra spare space, I will buy a secondhand bookshelf, sit it alongside my desk and fill it up with not only all my artwork, but some inspiring displays, some maybe a plant, maybe some pictures of some artists that I admire, maybe even a secondhand print that I found at the secondhand shop that is just inspiring me to continue to create. So I'm an environment person. I like an environment that welcomes me to create, that beckons me to create. So it's really important for me that visually it looks like a space I want to sit down in and create. And that's what I will always do the first thing I arrive at a new place. As you can see behind me, all my shelves are filled with the things that I love to use to create, things that I have created along the way. And they're set up in a really mindful way that when I arrive in this room, I'm inspired to use the materials and to make something wonderful because it feels good. So, as I said, grab a corner, even if it's in the kitchen, in the lounge room, in the dining room, that you can call your own and set up a creative space in. Get the desk in, get a chair, get a shelf if you've got the room for it, and set it up as your creative space. I remember years ago when my two eldest children were at school and I still had a little tacker at home, I would set up a desk for him alongside mine, and when it was my time to create, he would quite often sit at his desk and do some drawing or even build with some Lego or read a book, and that was his creative space as well. So I've always hoped that along the way I've nurtured the idea of finding a space to call your own and to create in my children as well. So as I said, just the first tip for my first video is, if you're struggling to still create, even though you want to set some time aside, that you have pledged to yourself, I'm going to spend Sunday afternoons creating, and you're still having trouble actually starting, set up the space. The act of setting up the space is creativity in itself as well. You'll gather in all the things that inspire you, maybe some books that of artists that you get inspiration from, maybe even some art books that you've always wanted to read but you've never had the time to read, your favorite pens, your favorite paints. Set them up in some really lovely little containers and create a space that inspires you to create. So that's all for now. As I said, this is just a quick little video. I thought I'd share with you some of the tips that I've used along the years to sort of kickstart myself. Sometimes I am always bustling doing sometimes other things, and the things that I really want to do, the creative things that I really want to do, even for myself, I will put them aside because I figure there's more important things that I need to do. So I know that once I've got my creative space set up, it's going to be a place that I want to come in often, visit often, and once I'm here, I'm going to start playing a lot as well. So thanks very much for watching this video. If you like the content and would like to continue to hear some more artistic tips or tips on how to lead a more creative life, don't forget to like and subscribe, and check in with me and let me know in the comments if there's some tips that you've used along the way to kickstart your creative practice. If you're in a bit of a creative slump, if you're finding it, as I said, just a little bit too hard to convince yourself that it's really worthwhile to create, let's share together and let's grow this community together. Thanks for watching and happy creating.